Team USA is getting set for the Olympic Games down in Rio. Joining us from Vegas, where the team is right now, making its way to Los Angeles, Jerry Colangelo. How are you, Jerry?
Fine, Rich. Nice to be with you.
Thank you for being with me right now. What is the status of the team right now? How do they look? What are you thinking as you're heading set? You're getting set for Rio.
You know, we've had a very good week. For the first time, we actually had our roster of 12 set when we came into camp. Previously, over the years, we've had to cut the squad down before we left Las Vegas for our next step, and not this time around. So I think it's been a real positive. Everyone seems to be in pretty good shape. We have plenty of time to get to that point, but no injuries. Everything's going well, and it's a good group of guys. I think there's going to be a lot of camaraderie and bonding here.
And so what about the concerns of Rio that some people have said about the Zika virus, and some players are not there? As we all know, Steph Curry, the two-time MVP, is not with the team. LeBron, neither. What have you done to help quell some of those concerns for the players that are on this team?
Well, first of all, Rich, what I would say is I focus on who's here, who committed, and not who's not. Each one of the cases that you mentioned and others, I have unique situations. You take them one at a time. A couple of the players are just worn out after a long NBA season. A couple of them had surgery. Was there anyone who mentioned Zika? No, not one of the players mentioned Zika to me at all as part of the issue. And you know, ironically, a couple of days ago there was an article in the USA, I believe, USA paper that said Florida has a bigger problem with Zika than Rio. So, you know, think about that. Everyone is informed about whatever risk there may be. We're taking all the precautions necessary, possible. So, you know, we're going to Rio with our eyes open. We have a job to do. We're going to have great security. We're looking forward to competing again, and you know, sometimes you have to jump in the foxhole a little bit, and that's what we're doing with the world falling apart, it seems, in so many different ways. We have USA on our uniforms, and we have a job to do.
Jerry Colangelo, Basketball Hall of Famer, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Has Coach K tried to get Kyrie Irving to come back for his remaining years of eligibility now that Kyrie's gotten his ring? Jerry, has that happened?
You know, we were talking yesterday about Kyrie, who, you know, he's developed into an incredible player. You kind of try to figure out why. You know, one word that comes to mind is balance. He has incredible balance, and his body is perfectly proportioned to do all the things he does. We know he can shoot like heck, but he is maybe the best finisher in the game. And just exactly how he gets the ball to the basket in some of his moves is amazing. But just think about what Duke might have been had he stayed there for a couple of years. That would have been a great team.
Well, I guess your head coach there might be thinking that right now, as Coach K is taking his one last tour with Team USA before handing the reins over to Greg Popovich. What's that been like to be around Coach K in these situations now for 3 Olympic Games, Jerry?
Well, I'll tell you, he's an amazing guy, and all the things said about him as a leader, as a fantastic coach, as a molder of young men. He's all of that plus. Our relationship is kind of a brotherhood. We've been joined at the hip since '05, and it's been an incredible journey. I would say for the two of us, we set out to change a culture. We certainly have accomplished that. The cupboard was bare in '05, and there was so much work to do. And today, as we speak, all of the teams representing USA basketball on the men's and women's sides are defending gold medalists in every age bracket. We're ranked number 1 in every age bracket, including the senior teams. All of the players really, generally speaking, aspire to represent us. And so it's been a fantastic ride with Coach K, and he's not going anywhere. He may be finished coaching, but, you know, the next guy, Popovich, was my other candidate back in '05 when I selected Coach K. And this is a seamless transition. Pop has been here all week. We gave him a responsibility of our young select players so that he'd have an early jump on what we do, how we're doing it, absorb everything, and get ready for the next quad. And these two guys are so similar. It's amazing, with military backgrounds and arguably the best college coach in the business and the best pro coach in the business as part of USA Basketball speaks volumes for us.
Your cup runneth over, Jerry. There's no doubt about that. Or your medal, hopefully, will be gold, and that will be running over
we hope so.
in Rio. So, last question on this part of the basketball world here: is there which team concerns you that you see on tape, or you think puts together enough talent that could give Team USA some run in Rio?
I would say this, and I don't want it to sound, like, well, we hear that all the time. We don't take anyone for granted. We take them one at a time.
Yeah, right. Nice.
Blah, blah, blah. That's all true. But I would rather say this. We have excellent talent. We have the most talented team that will participate. It doesn't matter who we're playing. Our biggest opposition will be us. In other words, if we stick to our game plan, if we play the way we're capable of playing or even close, I don't think it'll really matter. But on any given night, a team that shoots threes, makes free throws, doesn't turn the ball over, and if we were to have an off night, and those things happen, even with great teams, like we found out in 2006 when we had the only blemish on our record was a loss to Greece. All of the conditions I just described took place in that game, and we had our first and only loss. We learned from that, and hopefully we'll never see another one.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens in Rio. But I guess this is good for Durant because at least he's going to get some idea what it's like to play on a super team before the NBA season. Right, Jerry?
Yeah. I think the timing for him, by the way, is really good to be in our environment.
How so?
Because guys love to play here. This is a great setting. And I used the word camaraderie earlier, and it's just that. He's taken a lot of hits with his move to Golden State. Been criticized. He's not accustomed to that kind of treatment, and he's feeling pretty good right now with his teammates, with his situation with USA Basketball. So he's in good shape right now.
Well, now let's get into this. As a Hall of Fame team builder that you are, and an advisor to the Philadelphia 76ers, do you think the Durant signing for Golden State is good for the NBA or bad for the NBA, as the commissioner alluded to?
Well, I would say this. The rules allow it to happen. So I have no problem with the player taking advantage of the system. The other thing that's happened, and it's a big change, it's a sea change. The money is so big today that, and the endorsements are so big for the star players that it's not just about money anymore. This is about where can I go and win. And so how could you hold back a player who has the money, wants to win a championship, and feels that wherever he may be that he doesn't see the light at the end of the tunnel? Now, he can be criticized for going, but I'm not going to criticize a player when the system allows it.
So maybe the system shouldn't allow it. I mean, Pat Riley from the Heat suggested maybe doing what the NFL does, which is allowing each team to have a franchise tag that slaps on a player who you could pay any amount of money you want to, regardless of bird rules and things of that nature right now. Do you think that would be workable, Jerry?
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of people who come up with a lot of ideas, and there'll be a lot of discussion about it. Between you and me, and Pat's a good friend, I just wonder if he would have been suggesting that before he brought three guys together, Bosh, LeBron, and Wade, which was, he wouldn't have been able to do that if his suggestion had been adopted earlier.
You're not too far off on that probably, Jerry. You've been around the block a couple of times. Now that
means I'm old.
No, it does not, sir. You're in the Hall of Fame. So what about the Sixers, Jerry? There was some supposition when you took the gig to be an advisor to the team that the NBA basically said, do us a favor and help us stop them from tanking. Would you say that is a fair assessment, Jerry?
Well, I won't comment on what exactly took place, because I think that's a little bit between ownership of Philadelphia and the commissioner, Adam Silver. Look, I've been a lifer in the game. I love the game. I have a passion for the game. When I received a call that ownership in Philly wanted to speak with me and they needed some guidance, wanted my, as I was told, gravitas, relationships, experience to help them, I was willing to do it, but I made it clear I didn't have time. My plate was very full. I do whatever I could, and I made suggestions, recommendations, and, you know, the thought of bringing in a basketball person or people, plural, I thought was important. They had great, sound, young, analytical minds, but basketball experience, I think, was something that was a little bit lacking, to say the least. And I think now it's on the right course. It so happens that Brian Colangelo, an 18-year experienced GM in the NBA, now has the reins, and I think it's good hands. And
so the resignation letter you got from Sam Hinkie, what was your reaction to that, Jerry?
Honestly, Rich, I was stunned by it. I thought I had a good relationship with Sam, and that action just caught me off guard. I was back in Phoenix when I saw it, and it had already been released to the media. And it took me a while to read it, you know, when it's 13 pages. And so, you know, look, Sam is a very bright young guy, and you'll probably get another opportunity in the NBA with another team. He had a strategy. Ownership bought into it, and I think got tired of it after 3 years. That's exactly what took place.
And so what would you tell Sixer fans about a level of expectation with so many? I mean, to call them kids is really an appropriate word, Jerry. I mean, the average age is just hovering above the legal drinking age in certain states. So what would you say to Sixer fans about what is in place right now?
Well, first of all, I think the future now is not a bleak future. It's a bright future. You know, when you get pounded for 3 years, it's pretty difficult. It's hard to keep interest level in the community. And also, you know, when you talk about a winning culture, losing like that for so long creates a losing culture. And so that had to be stopped. I think now with a lot of young pieces in place and, you know, some of the signings as it relates to free agents, not top-line free agents, but some of the others who were signed by Philadelphia, like Bayless and Henderson, using those two as an example, they're placeholders for a year or two as the young develop. And there's an overabundance of bigs, and that logjam has to be, you know, undone. And so I think over the next few years, with still a lot of draft picks, extra picks, first-round picks over the next 2-3 years, Philly's in a great position to take a real step.
Jerry, thanks for the time, and on behalf of everybody, thank you for doing what you do for Team USA basketball. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich.
Really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. Look forward to the next time already.
Take care.
You bet. That's
Bye-bye.
Jerry Colangelo.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.